this will be a very interesting matchup. I do think there's a possibility of it going to 3 matches. So let's just see if they can play it out as we expect. So, ladies and gentlemen, last series of the night, BTK versus Area 77. Who will win? Let's find out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably one of the more anticipated matches of the night for a lot of the viewers, big fans in North America, big fan base for BTK here, to see if they can kind of continue that domination and maybe even set some new kind of standards for the team here as they go against the semifinalists of last season.
Yeah, definitely a team that gets a lot of love and attention on the NA scene. But Area 77, I mean, hey, they've got a little bit of a fan base of their own, and I can't see where they get. Honestly, Mark Cutie, when he was a marksman, he was like one of my favorite in NACT. The way he's able to be aggressive and disengage it's very good, but I don't know how it's going to play out inside of the mid lane, so we're going to have to kind of pay some close attention to him as he is performing as that mage for the side of Area 77, and it will be up against Nicolette, who's been gaining a lot of attention on the NA scene as well. Both of these mages step into the scene and ready to perform. We are going to go ahead and see some of the bans on the table, though. The Nolan and the Arlott will be banned out for BTK, and we would say this is kind of textbook so far.
Yeah, pretty standard bans coming out of both teams. I don't think we've seen Arlott played this entire night because he's been pretty much the primary ban. Arlott's, Navaria have been pretty much mainstays up in that banning, pretty much warming the bench for a lot of these teams right now because just so dangerous and so defining when it comes to a lot of these games. Definitely looking to see, I mean, if we're going to be going for something a little mobile from mlbbZane, or are we just going to go with that the tried and tested heavy tankier role?
I mean, we have been seeing him get a little creative, right? I've seen him, I believe I even seen him run a Paquito one time, but I know he has been running the Alpha, the Boxia, the Barats. These are kind of more standard for him. Even the Fredrin from time to time again is what he kind of favors. And honestly, I mean, the meta does favor that, so I'm definitely nothing wrong there. And it kind of plays into him and his play style. So we'll have to see how that kind of works out. They are going to ban out that Barat's, not going to even waste any time on that. But the Mathilda does walk.
Yeah, very interesting to see the Matilda out there. Cold World is a very interesting player for me because he has been in so many different roles in North America. You talked about him on The Simpsons. He was a marksman at that time, then transitioned to I want to say a mid after that, and now he's going to be filling the roam position for BTK. One of the very, I want to say one of the more versatile players in North America with how well and how successful he's been in each of those roles so far.
Yeah, I mean, it provides a little bit of insight on how other roles operate when you've actually made that yourself, which makes him more of an asset to the team. You are going to go ahead and see the Fredrin slotted in, though. Okay, so they ban the Barats. They pick up the Fredrin. It looks like they're trying to just take what they can away from mlbbZane. There is still an Alpha on the table. There is still a Boxia on the table. There is still a Martis on the table. I'm not really sure I agree with the Fredrin pickup this early, because you're allowing a lot to walk to the side of BTK in their favor. They can even pick up the Mathilda. They can pick that up, stack it up with something like a Boxia. Now they have some great front line, and now they have some great sustainability. And yeah, I just feel like, I don't know if that's really worth the trade, but hey, time will tell. Maybe Area 77 has some game plans on the way. I mean, they definitely have had a lot of time to think about how they wanted to pursue this draft. But we talked about mlbbZane and his hero pools. There it goes. This is more of that signature mlbbZane pickup. Slots in the Alpha.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about, I think mlbbZane's found like a nice little sweet spot in his picks, in that if some of his picks get taken out, if they get chosen by the enemy, part of that little circle of picks is a counter to that pick that the enemy can pick up too. And in here with Fredrin being that tankiness that he has, the true damage coming out from Alpha is a good counter for that as well. This is going to be, I think, the first Tigreal that we've seen picked up today.
I don't know how I feel about that one, because Tig against the Ruby. Ruby's a direct counter to the Tig. I mean, all she has to do is change some CC and instantly will stop the implosion, because it takes a little bit of time to proc. So that's going to be very hard to be able to rush in and provide those setups. And then you got an Alpha charge on top of that, which I believe if he can proc it in time, he can cancel out the implosion if he's not careful. And then you got to worry about the Vexana, who can kind of fight from afar and provide the Eternal Guardian and some knock-up CC. So the Tigreal, I feel like it's going to be a little bit of an upscale battle. I wonder how well this will kind of play into it, but you are seeing some heavy frontline composition super early in the draft with not a lot of damage output for the side of Area 77, stacking up that Fredrin alongside the Tig.
Yeah, I want to say that the choice for the Tigreal probably comes into play when it comes to these objective gettings. Like, as soon as the turtle is up, you're going to want Tigreal. He's going to need to kind of be a little patient, and he's going to look to try to push mlbbzane away from the turtle so that Fredrin can kind of stay in there and get that retribution. So that's what they're kind of looking for when it comes to the implosion. I mean, yeah, you're definitely going to need to make sure that either Nicolette and Mielo or at least one of those guys are in that implosion to kind of take away a lot of that CC. But you're right, there's a lot of CC, a lot of things that can actually interrupt it, but we're gonna see how well that kind of plays out into some of these engagements.
Now, this makes me wonder, I don't think Milo is gonna run the Ruby in the XP lane. I mean, honestly, it probably would just benefit BTK to just let the Ruby roam, to just follow the Tig. And I mean, if you could just stay on Tig's tail, there's not really much he's going to be able to do, even if he decides to invade on mlbbzane. I mean, he's going to have to be careful. There's still some options on the table to be able to burst down the Tig as well. There's not a carry taken off the board. Brody is still an option that can even more give the Tig a harder time, especially with that Corrosive Strike for the stun and the flicker back to safety. Not to mention, if you just rock a marksman with the Purify, it's another answer. So right now, speaking of answers, we are going to go ahead and see the Ixia taken off the table from the side of BTK. It looks like they're worried about a little bit more of that group CC. I mean, there's a lot of group CC over there for Area 77 already, though. I think they need to kind of start working on getting some heavy damage dealers to work in their favor. I mean, they do have first pick. If we're looking at marksmans, I mean, the Harith has been ran in the gold lane. Looks like it's interesting that they do ban it out. We know BK is a team that can draft three-dimensionally, so maybe that was a plan for that. Are they going to pick up something like the carry, though? I mean, that's what I kind of see when I see the Harith band out, and yes, they are going to go ahead and go in for that since it is a direct counter to it. But that opens up an opportunity for BTK to pick, I would even say, I mean, it could be the Irithel, it could be the Natana. I would say the Brody, though. I think the Brody walked through this and should be the strongest pickup for BTK.
Yeah, and I want to say on the side of Area 77, what we are definitely missing, and is going to be a really big gap for them, is the early game. We don't have anything for damage. All we're going to have is a tanky front line that Nicolette is going to be able to burst all over. We're going to need to have at least something to be able to kind of, maybe a Nana out there up front with which will add the CC. The Molina Blitz will add a lot of that burst damage to help out during the objective fights. And we have a Bruno and the X-Borg being picked up by the side of BTK.
And that is going to finalize the draft. There was one missing on the board. It is Faramis over there from Ureshi, so they have the sustainability. As Mark Cutie is going to go ahead and pick up that gourd. Oh, man, I know if Naisu's watching this stream, he's definitely going to be excited. Oh, wait. Okay. Just getting a note from production. Actually, it's not Faramis, it's CC. So they will be having CC in the XP lane to be able to fight it up against Milo, rocking on this X-Borg, which will be an interesting matchup to see. But I think the most interesting thing about this draft so far is the gourd slotted in from Mark Cutie.
Yeah, very interesting too. Gord provides, I mean, he provides a lot of early game damage, a lot of burst, and also provides some true damage. The only problem is with that Mystic Gush ultimate, he's pretty much a sitting duck. He's going to be standing in one place, bursting out a lot of that damage, and you have the potential for people like Cold World, for people like Mielo to close the distance and be able to get to him very quickly.
Speaking of getting the people, we are going to see Basic pick up this Bruno, which means he's going to have some great burst damage to be able to soak into the Fredrin, possibly the Tig, if they're not careful. But he's going to have to play up close and personal, which is where it could work inside of Area 77's favor for the setup.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the match a lot of people have been waiting for as Area 77 takes on North American fan favorites BTK. Do they have what it takes to get what most would consider an upset win over the former champions?
That's right. BTK, the team that's went the furthest on the international scene. Not the same roster, but spearheaded by mlbbzane nonetheless. They are going to be fighting it out on their debut. BTK, I think if I'm looking at the draft so far, I kind of favor it a little bit more for them. This is really going to boil down to how well Jay Cutie can kind of perform on this Tig. And since there's a lot of things that can disrupt that implosion, it looks like it is going to be that Ruby in the roam position, which we did agree with, right? We said if the Ruby can be the roam, then he could just follow JQT anywhere he goes, and it'll make Tig not be able to have the advantage he's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some synergy that we could talk about when it comes to MarQt and the Tigreal out there, JQT out there. So if you do get countered by one person, actually, Mobazane in between 3 members, are they actually going to try to collide against him? You do have the push there on the Mobazane, who takes an early death in the early seconds of the first game.
Yeah, caught out of position and nobody to really back him up. Looks like he got a little too overconfident, which will give Area 77 the advantage they're looking for to be able to take control of this early game. Now Mobazane will be slightly behind in the farm. He is level 4 though, so he still can go in for this turtle, and that may be his game plan. But you're already going to see Tarzan Cutie pulling the aggro in a counter and contest from Coldworld and Nicolette.
Yeah, but BTK, I mean, great grouping here. Even though Mobazane went down, they still have great control of this first turtle. They are about to get sandwiched. You see Jay looking for an opportunity. They're baiting out. Here comes the last insanity from Yellow, and Eternal Guardian is out as well. That's 2 ultimates that they're not going to have for the rest of this turtle fight, down to about half health. Are they going to be able to contest this? Coldworld in here looking for an opportunity. Are they going to be able to find it? Tarzan finds the first turtle. Mystic Gush is out. Finds a kill onto Mobazane.
Yeah, able to take down Mobazane. 2 early deaths for him, and will put him even further behind in the jungle. Not off to the start they were looking for, but Area 77 landing from a different planet and off to a great start. You know what's interesting about this match? Look at JQT's emblem. He's running Focusing Mark, which is going to allow his team to do additional damage to anybody that he does damage to. Not the normal emblem that I usually see on a Tig. Usually I see something like a Concussive Blast or a Tenacity, but to see the Focusing Mark is at least new for me. But MarQt off to a good start on the Gord, picked up his first kill of the game. We talked about him having a possible hard time jumping into this, especially being stagnant when he does use that Mystic Gush, but so far hasn't had a rough start. I would say BTK need to be careful, or they might find themselves in a hole that they can't climb out of.
Yeah, very interesting here, especially for Area 77. They are going to go ahead and just land the stun onto Coldworld, but is going to be able to get away. A lot of that CC coming out of that Ruby. The only problem here for Area 77 is it's nice to have kills, especially on Mobazane, can kind of give you that momentum. But as we start moving further and further into the game, we need to make sure these kills are coupled with some type of objectives as well. Kills alone don't do it, but you're going to want to maybe get a tower, get some gold plating, get another turtle or something like that to kind of keep the momentum in your direction.
And you know, I mean, if we look at how the advantage has been working so far for Area 7, oh my goodness, invasion on the top side, 3v1.
Oh yeah, Yoreshi's not long for this world there. Mielo cleans it up with a last Insanity ultimate. Good play there, both Nicolette and Mobazane there to help out with that gank. Ooh, little spicy little sitting here, right? I don't think there's too many people on. Coldworld coming in there. Tarzan, they do notice Tarzan. Good positioning for Area 77 for this first turtle. Coldworld trying to stop, I want to say doing the best he can to kind of harass this turtle. Now at about half health. Nicolette in a good position. Gonna go down, looking for some damage. Here comes the last Insanity. Mystic Gush is out, but Nicolette with great positioning. Tarzan still gets the turtle, and this might be bad for BTK. Coldworld and Mobazane get taken out, and a great turtle and 2 kills for Area 77.
That hole is getting deeper and deeper for the BloodThirstyKings as we progress through the early phase of game number 1. Losing both turtles, and now in the bot side basic.
Ooh, basic by a nail, able to get away. And I want to say about that last turtle fight, they even had some great positioning. Nicolette able to throw down the Eternal Guardian right onto the Mystic Gush, onto MarQt, but still not enough to save her team.
Which is interesting because this lineup favors them. I mean, they have so many counters to JQT on this Tig. He was able to get that setup though on a Mobazane with that implosion with no problem, which allowed them to kind of take that fight and make it work in their favor. And now they're going to be leading by a massive XP boost, almost up by 2,000 gold. Now, I wonder if this will be able to translate into some of the turrets, though. You know, we see a lot of teams take these advantages, but not able to find a turret to open up the map. And if BTK can hold on to these their turrets, then they may be able to turn this back around. Now, I'm worried about JQT on these engagements when it actually comes to the 5v5s. Can he still get these implosion setups?
Yeah, we're going to see here. Oh, nice Mystic Gush does land and is going to be able to take down Cold World. Is it going to be enough to take down this tower? ISO laying into it's going to get the first tower claimed for Area 77. Tarzan coming in, does have that Appraiser's Wrath, but does use it as a defense to get himself out of harm's way.
Yeah, able to find Cold World, who's having a rough start alongside mlbbnorthamerica, picking up his second death. Golden Staff picked up by ISO. You're going to see the JQT picking up some physical defense as well to be able to hold off the damage provided over there from Zane, from Basic, also possibly from Milo, but he does have that true damage running on this X-Borg. Right now, first turret will go to the side of Area 77, and 2 turtles under their belt, up by 3,000 gold, and are going to try and claim this third one of the game. Can we see mlbbnorthamerica rush in for the steal? No, he's not going to go in for it. He does not have the numbers, not in a position. And again, they're scaling through the times. ISO finds Basic.
The big conceal play comes in there. They're going to find a kill on the Cold World. Mielo comes in with the last Insanity, but is not going to be able to find a mark from Area 77, who now looks like they're trying to lay waste into that purple buff. Not able to find a stun onto mlbbnorthamerica, who is going to go ahead and back himself away.
Now look at Area 77 putting some pressure, trying to proxy this lane to take the first turret in the mid lane, which will open up the map even more. Appraiser's Wrath dropping down, and the turret will fall.
Oh! Mystic Gush finds a kill onto mlbbnorthamerica behind the tower.
My goodness, Zane, 4th death of the game. Running this alpha, he's one of the only junglers that we usually see pull this off, but it looks like this is not the story today, as Area 77 came in with a game plan and they are executing, up by 3 turrets and looking for some more.
Oh, JQT in a little bit of trouble here, getting CC'd into a coma there. That was about 9 seconds of him just running back and forth, getting CC'd chained by BloodThirstyKings.
Yeah, able to pick up a kill. Their second kill of the game, though, still down by 6 and 5,000 gold. Area 77 has the advantage. Right now, in theory, I mean, as long as they keep playing like this, they should be able to push through these tier 2 turrets. But BTK, they're known to be able to turn things around in the blink of an eye. You give them an inch, they take a mile, and this may be what they're looking for.
Yeah, great setups here by MarQt as well. Oh, prefacing at Mielo in a little bit of trouble here. Tarzan on the side doesn't think twice. He doesn't really want to go in on it. They have the spacing. They're just going to allow the minions to push in at top.
Yeah, I mean, this is just boiling down to better micro and macro. For Area 77, Demon Hunter Sword picked up by ISO, picking up his 3rd core item of the game alongside that Corrosion Scythe. I mean, look at Basic. He only has the Hoss Claws in a Legion Sword. You have 3 core items over there, outscaling him for Area 77, and now pulling the aggro for this Lord Milo, trying to give some vision for a possible contest, but they don't have the numbers, and this should be a free Lord for Area 77.
Yeah, I mean, it's a free Lord unless you're going to try to test this with this huge deficit, and it's just not a smart play. BTK definitely needs to kind of regroup, wait for a mistake by Area 77, or at least wait for some of these defenses, because right now, especially with the mid towers down, this jungle area pretty much belongs to Area 77.
Yeah, full ground control from them so far. Can they keep up this momentum? Will BTK find a vulnerability and exploit it? ISO able to take down the tier 2 turret for the bottom side. Lord marching in the top lane. Area 77 looking stronger than ever. Way stronger than we've seen them in the qualifiers with how they're performing today. And this is not your average team, right? This is BTK slotted right behind or almost even with the Gaimin Gladiators. But now Area 77 making a statement and ready to take it to their base.
Yeah, right now doing a great job of not only zoning out BTK to take these towers, but the macro as well, splitting up the nice little devastation here that we have up at the top. Lord crashing into this tower. Now we do have a conceal play and doing a good job. Area 77 doesn't overstep, doesn't give BTK any type of momentum to try to grab a kill at all.
Yeah, I mean, Area 77, they're being passive, right? They're taking what they can, but they're not being overly aggressive. They are not trying to allow BTK to find a mistake, and this is what you got to do if you want to be able to take down some of the top teams in North America. You have to take every engagement as if it's the last, and that's what Area 77 is doing so far. I mean, they haven't even lost a single turret. No turret has taken any damage for them in the last 11 minutes of their game. Off to a great debut. Now, for the Bloodthirsty Kings, if they want to turn this around, it's going to start with Cold World, right? Finding a setup, getting that offended, possibly disrupting JQT when he rushes in for that implosion. But the items is what's going to work in Area 77's favor. BTK needing to play to the late game.
Yeah, we're going to see here right now. Ooh, Tarzan takes a heap of damage, and CC Last Insanity is out. Tarzan dodges it as Mielo goes out with a flicker. Area 77 in tow. Oh, big implosion lands up, but they do not catch enough members. Mystic Gush is out, and surprisingly, nobody goes down in that engagement.
Man, trying to catch Basic in his trap with that implosion, forcing out that Purify last second, but Milo with that flicker playing the Last Insanity, definitely showcasing his mastery on the export, but not able to find the kills he was looking for. But it's looking promising for the synergy of BTK, even when they're behind by a lot. Looking like they are taking it to the mid lane for a possible push into that tier 1 turret. Look at the bot side, though. A possible rotation down there as well. It's crazy how far behind they are, but they're still overextending and taking this fight to the mid lane like they're even with Area 77.
Well, and that's the kind of problem, and that's what kind of value you get from a BTK here, is that they know what they need to do. They know how far behind they are, and it's only a matter of time. Area 77 just needs to make sure that they're not making mistakes. They're not getting a little too, I want to say, crazy when it comes to this. They do, I want to say, have a history of like not really being able to close to, oh my gosh, as we talk about that, Yureshi takes a heap of damage. Vengeance is out as he's trying to close the distance. Yureshi finds a kill onto Mobazane again. Immortality is out as Yureshi chasing down Cold World, putting on the damage. Yo-yos are, I mean, you'd never think you saw something scary in the yo-yos, but with Yureshi there, Nicolette, oh, okay. We're just going to watch Basic. Going back to base, Mark Cutie finds a tower again at mid.
Yeah, Basic, though, making advantage of the separation. Doesn't take 1 turret, but takes 2. Which will be an okay trade. I mean, they need to be able to open up this map, and this is where Basic shines, right? He knows how to rotate and create that opportunity when he has the separation needed. And this is what BTK has to do if they want to be able to turn this game around, as Area 77 is out for a closer. They're looking to close this game with almost a flawless victory, and BTK still has a chance to turn this around. Now, it's been a rough game for Mobazane. He's 0-5-1 on the Alpha. And right now, you are going to see the Lord on the top side in Area 77 ready to knock on the door for the Bloodthirsty Kings.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead, charge into that tower. You can see it dropping very low. They're not actually able to get it. ISO from the bottom is going to flicker himself away. So, Mielo with the Last Insanity. Mark Cutie gets out of there. Mystic Gush is out, and it is going to find... is that a trade? No, Mielo has the immortality, but he is getting targeted. You can see Nicolette doing a great job trying to stave off that, but Nicolette gets caught up by Yureshi and taken down. Cold World's next up on the list. Basic doing his best to dish out the damage with that Bruto, and the Vengeance is out. Big push from Jay. Yureshi finds the kill onto Cold World.
Oh my goodness, Private. Spicy engagement over there on the top side, but BTK, they're behind by almost 10,000 gold. I know they're able to execute. Their macro and micro is good, but when you're down by 10,000 gold, it's hard to win these engagements.
Yeah, and right now, unfortunately for BTK, they're not able to find it. Look at all the damage from ISO with that speedy light wheel trying to dish it out. Here comes the Last Insanity, but it's not enough in a very surprising turn of events. Area 77 getting the victory over BTK.
Phone home, phone home. The extraterrestrials, Area 77, able to claim game 1 in their debut up against the Bloodthirsty Kings. Looks like Yue was onto something. He was the only one to vote for Area 77, maybe from their distant home planet. But nonetheless, some flawless execution and some great gameplay. Able to get to the early neutral objectives. Able to shut down Mobazane with the Alpha jungle and create the opportunity to be able to push through with game number 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're putting in their drinks on whatever planet Area 77 is from, but I want some. And obviously, Yui knew the secret that we didn't, because a very surprising first game there for Area 77. Very dominant against Bloodthirsty Kings. I don't think I've seen too many times where they've taken a 10K deficit.
You know what's crazy about this? This is the only team to be able to take down the Bloodthirsty Kings outside of Gaimin Gladiators so far in this entire NACT spring season, from the qualifiers up until now, and that just shows you these teams are getting better. Now, BTK, we got to see what they kind of do to turn this back around. This actually may be a game that we see go all the way to a number 3. I mean, this is what I've been waiting for this entire time. I love seeing things go down to the wire. Bloodthirsty Kings, if they want to turn this around, I think it's going to start with the overconfidence, right? We saw mlbbZane overextend into the purple buff super early in the game when nobody was there to protect him, and he just got hit with some chain CC, and that was his first death of the game, and then it just kept happening, right? And then not only that, they're down by 10,000 gold, and they want to take a fight almost in the mid of the top side. You can't really win that, even though you have the experience, you have the skill level. You don't have the items, and that's really where Area 77 kind of shined on to be able to close out that game. And so jumping into game number 2, I think it's just going to start with just back to the basics, right? Just focus on playing how they normally play, focusing on the objectives, and not being overconfident, especially against a team like Area 77, who has made it into the top 4 for North America. I mean, just last season. This is not a team that you can underestimate.
Yeah, and I want to say last season able to get surprise victories over a lot of very strong teams, even getting a victory over Avalon in the, I want to say the lower brackets of the season. So it was very interesting. Area 77, I want to say right now, the pluses on their side is probably the synergy. A lot of these guys play together all the time, and I think what we're seeing right now is a classic case of like synergy versus still trying to build up that synergy. We saw a lot of points mlbbZane kind of caught out, nobody else kind of there in support of him, especially that first death he took, immediately going towards the enemy jungle, gets caught up there, and then this surprise pick of the Horde, I really feel like had a great impact on a lot of these matches, or a lot of the engagements that BTK had out there.
You know, which is really insane, because again, I still, after seeing that draft, would say it favored the Bloodthirsty Kings, but it's like they just didn't execute on the draft, which is really crazy coming from the caliber of players who are on that team. So, I mean, this is a newer BTK, newer synergy. It's not the same roster that we've seen before. Maybe that was the issue. But if anybody can kind of turn this around, it's definitely them. I mean, I've learned my lesson on doubting mlbbZane, especially after seeing his amazing performance with a newer team and newer synergy in the NACT spring season, which was the best grand finals that we have ever had, taking it all the way to a game 7. So I think what we're going to see in the next game, I don't think it's going to be a difference of draft. I think it's just going to be a difference of execution and playing a little bit safer before the neutral objectives.
Yeah, I think right now, BTK probably taking a collective sigh, just like, let's get it back onto the game plan, because that's what they really need to do. Area 77, though, a little wiggle room here right now with the first victory going over to them in this best of 3.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the music over there from our amazing production that just hyped up Area 77, man. I mean, how can you not be hyped with that track dropping down? But you are going to go ahead and see Area 77 now having an advantage. They will be first pick in the draft. A couple of bans are on the table. The Navaria will be taken out alongside the Faramis, which is a little interesting over there from the side of Area 77.
Yeah, very interesting. The Faramis was banned out the last draft as well. Very interesting here to see that the BTK takes Barats off the table. I mean, obviously, I guess they see the strength in it, don't want it picked up by Area 77, but I'm almost at the point that I would like to give Zane, like, almost to the point that, like, I would like Zane to have all the tools he can, as much as possible, you know, when it comes to some of these picks. But man, I mean, man, I just can't get over that last game. I just, especially when it came to the Horde, how well the Horde played into it. To not, I was very worried about how well they were going to be able to kind of close the distance on him. But from the get-go, I want to say, I believe Mark Udy just had playing a great game.
Yeah, it was very hard. I noticed teams that actually have a good chance against mlbbZane is when they run a lot of CC. Especially like when we've seen him go up against Gaimin Gladiators in the round robin for the top 16. that's what they did, right? They just stacked up a lot of CC up against this Fredrin, and he tried to full send for these objectives, for these invasions, and they were able to pick him off with ease. And I think that's something that Area 77 is kind of leaning into with their draft so far. Speaking of drafts, though, they are going to go ahead and take out that Fredrin. Barat was taken off for the side of BTK. Alpha's still on the table. I don't know. I'm not sure if Zane will pick that up again. I don't really think Alpha was the problem, though. I think it was just the over-aggression, and I think a couple of mistakes in the beginning that were completely avoidable stacked up to where they couldn't turn it back around.
Yeah, and pick up again. They're going to go ahead to, well, actually, this time the Vexana is going to be on the side of Area 77. So kind of a switch, a mirror of what we saw last game, where BTK very quickly picked up the Vexana for Nicolette, and here we're going to see Mark Cutie pick up the Vexana.
Yeah, the Vexana will be picked up on the opposite side of the table. Basic is going to pick up that Claude, is going to have that BMI. We'll have that Blaze the Wet. Claude has been pretty much picked up every single game today. Just showing you how strong of a marksman he is. Now, a couple of things that are still on the table. The Mathilda yet to be picked up. The Ruby has been slotted in majority of these matches. It's still available if BTK does want to grab that up. The X-Borg, something that we usually see Milo actually run on and profit well. Maybe he slots that now. Honestly, his X-Borg performance was still good with even the major deficit that they had, but not going to waste any time. They're going to pick up something that we don't really see this early, and that is going to be the Minotaur.
Yeah, and very interesting, yeah, because he's been banned out, I want to say, as we move into like kind of the second drafting phase. So they're going to go ahead and prioritize that, get him some CC to hopefully kind of protect during these objective fights, make sure that Mobazane can move around, that he can get into range for these retributions without getting bursted down.
Now, I'm wondering where this is going to go. Boxia, okay, I was going to say Boxia is on the table. They're just trying to limit the junglers that Mobazane is going to pull out. But, I mean, there's still some additional junglers on the table. You can still use the Martis. You can still, well, the Fredrin's gone, so you can't use that. You can still use the Alpha if he wants to. You can still use, I've seen him run the Bakito before. So I don't think he's really too worried about it. But something to be worried about is going to be that CC, right? CC has been such a strong XP laner, especially on the international scene. Very hard to keep up with, and usually scales better than majority of the XP laners slotted against her. But Mobazane, he's pulling out another tank alongside the Minotaur. We'll go in for the Akai.
Yeah, very interesting here. We have a lot of front line for the side of BTK, and I want to say a mid to late game marksman. So we're still, I think this is kind of exactly swapped from the last game, where at this point in the game, once we were coming up in the second banning phase, I was looking for Area 77 to pick up something early, some type of damage for that early game. And here, that's exactly what we need from BTK's side to kind of even out this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder where this is going to go, though, right? I mean, the Mathilda is still on the table. It could be picked up possibly from Area 77 if they still want it. It hasn't been banned out, and I wonder why a lot of teams haven't been picking it, because I haven't really seen a major nerf to the Mathilda. It's been strong in the international scene, but may not be the same for NA. Looking at BTK, though, I'm worried about the Akai synergy with a Minotaur, because a Minotaur's job is to get them to know Fury, knock everybody up, but the Akai's job is to push everybody away. So I kind of feel like I'm not really sure how that's going to work together as a composition. Honestly, this would have been a good opportunity to pick up a Martis, but instead, since they have the Boxia, we're going to have to see how that plays into it. It may be hard for the Boxia, though, to rush into a Minotaur and an Akai on top of that to be able to get these neutral objectives, which may be a start for BTK to take control of the early game.
Yeah, very interesting. I want to say Mathilda, especially on the international scene, has a pretty low pick rate as well. Only about 3 games total combined with PH and Indo. So apparently they know something that I'm just not catching with the Mathilda pick. I thought it was fairly strong, but it might be the certain type of comps that you want to go for. She really does shine for a lot of those, I want to say, stationary heroes that need the added mobility. People like Barats, Ixia shines with that as well. So maybe it's just there's certain picks that she really shines with that we're just not seeing in some of these compositions. A big pickup for the side of BTK as we take up the Valentina, which for me is interesting. You don't really have a lot of ultimates besides the Eternal Guardian from the side of Area 77 that you're going to really want to, that I really see as a target.
Now, I mean, it works really well against the Boxia, though, because it's the Terrify, especially with Boxia being up close and personal, the CC as well. It's kind of like that anti-invade comp but I don't really know how it's going to kind of transition. And the Bruno gets picked up by ISO, though. He's going to have a lot of crits, especially when he picks up that Berserker's Fury. But against the heavy CC composition like this, we're going to have to see, right? I mean, this is a really dive-centric composition from the Bloodthirsty Kings right now, especially with mlbbZane running that Akai. I mean, this should be, for the most part, some easy neutral objectives when it comes to these turtles, when it comes to these lures, and also for Zane to be able to get his orange and purple, but possibly be able to invade to the side of Area 77 and take their buffs nice and early. Maybe their game plan, but hey, Diggy's been slotted in. Do you feel like the Diggy may have a problem here, though? Because there's a lot of CC that could overwhelm that time journey.
There's a lot of CC, but there's not a lot of burst on their side. If we're looking for an XP laner that has burst, I mean, Paquito maybe can go in there. He fits that role. He can be able to take Diggy out very quickly and kind of negate a lot of his abilities when it comes to some of these objective fights. I mean, the amount of CC, yeah. So, I mean, a big answer there from BTK going with the Paquito. Yeah, so good, I want to say good lineup for the side of BTK, especially Paquito. He's going to fill that role for that early game damage, especially once he gets that level 4. He's basically a truck coming at you.
Now, I would favor BTK's draft here, and the reason being is because there's more engage here. Like, I mean, you're putting a lot over there to the box here, being able to rush in and initiate these fights. I mean, maybe the CC can initiate, but outside of them two, like, Vexana's going to be in the back. Diggy, definitely don't want him to be super up front, or he's going to get picked off super early. The Bruno has to play close, but against all that CC, it could be a possible problem, and he's not going to be as mobile if you rock something like that Purify. Now, we've seen the Paquito, we've seen Chicken run it really well, and now we get to see Milo pick up this Paquito in the XP lane. He is going to be going up against a highly mobile hero, though, which will be the CC. Can he keep up against the mobility?
Ooh, boys, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to game 2, Area 77 versus Bloodthirsty Kings. You never thought you'd see it where BTK is behind by 1, but they need to win here if they hope to take this to a game 3.
That's right, and possibly maybe our first game 3 of the day in our final series. Area 77 taking the world by surprise with a fancy fashion as they were able to shut down the Bloodthirsty Kings in the first game. A one-sided story, shutting down mlbbZane, racking them up to above 5 kills, and being able to take majority of the objectives with little to no contest and not losing a single turret on top of that. Will it be the same story for game number 2, or will BTK be able to disrupt their momentum and shut them down in the early game?
Really interesting here. Mark Cutie's getting shut out from his farm here. Nicolette doing a great job of kind of zoning him away from a lot of these minions.
Well, see, that's the good thing about the Valentina too, is the Valentina can be way more aggressive than the Vexana, especially in the early phase, because the Vexana can play a lot closer. You are going to go ahead and see both teams getting ready for their first objectives, though. Zane, he doesn't go for the invade, though. I was wondering if he was going to try and invade onto the side of Area 77. It did not work the first time around for game number 1, and it looks like he's learned his lesson. But when the first turtle comes onto the board, I think BTK should be able to claim this. They have the heavy spin. They should be able to zone out Area 77 from taking it.
Oh, Mark Cutie dangerously low right before this first turtle setup here. Bloodthirsty Kings in a great positioning, waiting for the turtle to come up. You can see mlbbZane in the pixel bush right now, waiting. The rest of BTK at mid gonna go ahead and join him shortly.
Yeah, but I mean, J Cutie not in position, and look at Mark Cutie. Both of them decided not to go in for it, which will be a free turtle to the side of BTK. And I mean, this is the way the draft kind of plays out, right? But speaking of draft, bot side engagement.
Yeah, very unfortunate for the side of Area 77. They look for a gank at bottom, but I mean, a great positioning there by Mielo, who's able to get away from that. And now you have Area 77, who traded it for a kill, but come out empty-handed, and a turtle going over to BTK.
Yeah, and you got to be careful. Now they have the advantage, which is totally different from game number 1, and they're able to kind of close out with early finishes when you allow these things to happen, and you have to keep an eye on them. BTK, though, with that first turtle, will have an XP boost ahead of Area 77, and now there goes the invasion. Look at Koro given the vision, now trying to possibly contest on the purple buff.
Yeah, Blazing Duet at mid to clear up the minions. That's going to keep Mark Cutie busy while Tarzan getting jumped on by 3 members of BTK. Is he going to be able to get out of it? He is doomed and gets taken down by mlbbZane. Heavy spin out there. Cutie. Ooh, almost got caught and pinned against the wall. They're still giving chase. Cold and the rest of BTK in a bad way here are going to be able to make their way to their side of the jungle.
And ISO may have a hard situation. Basic stripping off half of the gold plating from the turret on the top side, which will give him an advantage in the gold lane. We know he's running that Claude. He needs that Demon Hunter sword, that golden staff, to really be able to soak into Boxia from Tarzan Cutie, and also possibly your Reshi Cutie over there. ISO and needs to kind of be careful. He's not as mobile. He did go in for that Purify to stop a little bit of the CC provided from BTK, but I don't know if it will be enough. But so far, you are looking at a great start for the BloodThirstyKings, trying to take this to a Game 3, controlling the early game.
Yeah, and I want to say whatever cobwebs were in BTK in that first game, they seem to have shaken it off here. The rotations here, the synergy from them is a lot tighter on this game when it comes to rotating around the map, and I'm glad to see it. You see, oh, Mielo comes in, locking on the JQ, who's going to use that flicker to get away. Even latched on a little bit of a reverse time onto Mielo for the time being, but this is going to go ahead, open up. Oh, he still got the kill from the bottom lane there, still able to find the angle and find the kill on the Diggy, and this is going to open up the next turtle for mlbbZane.
Yeah, 2 turtles in their favor now, and also something funny to point out, 3 quantum charges for BTK and 2 concussive blasts. This kind of tells you a couple of things, right? They're going to be highly mobile, and they're going to be highly tanky for the ones who aren't. And that means they're going to be taking these fights up close and personal and at a fast pace. And that is what we were seeing so far, as they're able to take both of these turtles with little to no contest, and also able to take 2 kills on top of that. Area 77 needing to be careful as they are trying to form that snowball.
Ooh, JQ comes in here with the time journey, but ooh, just narrowly escapes there. I was about to say, ISO actually able to get away on his own. Oh, but get popped up and a Blazing Duet for his troubles. Nicolette picking up the kill there at the top lane.
And a kill on the bot side, as well as Tarzan Cutie will find Milo. That is going to be a 1-for-1 trade. First kill for Area 77, but BTK still in control of today's match, at least for the early game. Area 77 slightly behind, now down by over 2,000 gold. Looking at some of the core items, with the crossbow has been picked up over there from Basic. He is going to be working toward that corrosion site. Does have the Demon Hunter sword. You are going to see on the opposite side of the table for the gold lane, ISO behind him by 1,000 gold, picking up the Hawes class, still working toward a possible Legion sword, and an additional item like a Berserker's Fury may be on the ways. He needs that crit to be able to soak into mlbbZane, to be able to soak into that Minotaur and burst down the BloodThirstyKings.
Oh, a little bit of a little 1v1 here between mlbbZane and Tarzan. Here comes the rest of Area 77. Oh! mlbbZane able to snatch away that orange buff and leaves like a thief in the night.
And the crazy thing is that was a 1v3. It's just a battle of a retribution, and mlbbZane quicker to the punch, able to get it and walk away with no penalty, which will delay the farm over there from Tarzan Cutie even more than it's been already, with Zane taking all of these turtles. Speaking of turtles, the third one will spawn in, and it looks like they may be able to take yet another objective uncontested by Area 77.
Yeah, basically just ignoring Yureshi down here, trying to put the damage onto the tower. Gets back with the BMI to go ahead and support Zane, but Yellow gets caught here. Finishing touches by JQ up at the top lane. So they're at least able to answer back 2-3 in favor of BTK.
Yeah, but the trade will still work in BloodThirstyKings' favor as they take a turtle, and they take the most valued turret for the early game, the tier 1 in the mid lane, which will open up the map for invading. And BTK will now have a massive advantage, if it wasn't enough already, up against Area 77, putting them in an awkward situation as BTK now able to overextend with comfort. Now going to take the tier 1 on the bot side as well, up by 3 turrets to 1 against Area 77.
Yeah, a much tighter game by BTK this time. They have a great, I want to say, answers right now. Their rotations are on top. Zayn hasn't got it caught once just yet, and now you can start seeing they're starting to force their way into the enemy jungle right now. Ooh, we do have a big upset here. Mark Cutie does find a kill onto Coleworld. Blazing Duet to the back line. Tarzan gonna have to back up. A big heavy spin by mlbbnorthamerica. I don't know if I think he still got that orange buff as well. Nope. It looks like Mark Cutie actually was able to get it. Oh, we're still fighting here. A little bit of problems with LEGACi coming in. Yo-yos all over the place. Is not going to be able to find the kill onto Mielo.
We'll be able to go back to safety. A very close call, though. Zayn doing good on invading the jungle for Area 77, not trying to allow Tarzan to catch up. I mean, he's down 2 levels up against mlbbnorthamerica right now, and it's steady climbing even higher as you are seeing him still contesting. He's a bully right now on the Sakai. He's only getting beefier. He's running that concussive blast, and they're ahead by almost 3,000 gold, which means the damage items needed from Area 77 to shut him down is just not there. We're not even really seeing a massive presence over there from Jay Cutie on this Diggy, who we were kind of wondering about, especially as Diggy took a nerf with the damage output. But with that time journey, it's just very hard to negate all of the CC when there's a heavy CC composition. I mean, the time journey is only active for so long, and all they have to do is bait it out with one of their ultimates to stop it. And that puts a lot of pressure on Tarzan Cutie all by himself to be the front line and also the tank of this game. And this is where you're starting to see BTK make the most out of the situation.
Well, yeah, and we were talking about it before, too. We saw in some of the engagements, too, Mielo doing a great job looking for Jay on that Diggy, searching for him, hunting him, and being able to take him down before they actually even start some of these objectives. Right now, they're kind of fishing around, seeing what they can catch in the river here. If Area 77 is going to go ahead and make the first mistake, try to engage here, but they definitely want a fight here.
You are still seeing some items to be picked up, though. Mark Cutie just got that Lightning Truncheon, and we'll be able to echo some damage to the full team of BTK when he decides to engage with this Vexana, but it's not going to be the right time. BTK, they have a proper foothold for this match. Massive damage and aggro pulled for this turtle. A contest from Area 77 on the way.
Yeah, Basic walked into a bush full of Diggy bombs and almost got chunked down to about 10% left onto this turtle. mlbbnorthamerica in position. Tarzan, they're going to fight it over. Can they fight it? Tarzan able to find this next Lord as mlbbnorthamerica going to disengage with the heavy spin. LEGACi looking for the flank, not able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, this is the things that Area 77 has to do to find a way to turn this around. It's a great start, but can they follow through and trade for some of these turrets?
Yeah, a great play there by Area 77. Whoa! You saw the time. Ooh, Mielo finds a kill onto LEGACi. We were talking about that Paquito damage. He just absolutely obliterated LEGACi in the mid lane. As I was saying before, like when it came to this, a great time journey by Jay there to kind of thwart any of the CC from BloodThirstyKings as the retribution came up. So good call by them.
Yeah, ISO able to claim a turret, though, on the bot side, slowly inching their way up the map. They do have the Lord on the top side as well, which means they're able to turn this around in their favor. Since they took the turret in the mid lane as well, they have now gained control.
Oh, yeah, the gold still, I want to say, heavily in favor of BloodThirstyKings. We talked about this before. I mean, at any point in the game, behind or in front, BTK is still a very dangerous team that you need to watch out for. And they still have a sizable gold lead over Area 77 here. So they're Area 77 not out of the woods here.
Yeah, they are going to try and bank in on Mielo, finding a way to the back line with that Paquito, who got that buff, and also Basic as he builds his core items to be that late game damage dealer, that staple marksman pickup with that Claude that they're relying on. And the later this goes, that's where he's going to start to shine. But Area 77, they're not going to try and give him that opportunity.
Oh, Mielo got caught with the reverse. mlbbnorthamerica comes in with a heavy spin. Tarzan still finds the kill, but deep in enemy territory. Is he going to be able to get away? Nicolette spraying some damage, but it's not going to be enough. Coleworld walking himself in from the flank, and another tower taken by ISO in Area 77.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to close it out and now going to work on chipping down this inhibitor, but they need to be careful on not overstaying their welcome. The BloodThirstyKings is known to make the most out of these situations. Blade armor picked up from mlbbnorthamerica, trying to negate some of those physical attacks coming out, especially over there from ISO. He does have that Berserker's Fury to provide that crit.
Ooh, Basic comes in. I want to say a very eager Blazing Duet onto the team of Area 77. It does back them off, but mlbbzane comes in. Is he going to be able to get that retribution? He was not able to get it, and Tarzan basically paying mlbbzane back again for that early game where he was taking his jungle. mlbbzane actually in trouble. Heavy spin comes out, and he gets taken out by ISO, and the rest of the team falling back. Whole world has that reverse time locked onto him. He gets pushed back. ISO finds a tower into the back. Nicolette with that time journey to try to protect her team, bursted down, taken down by Mark Cutie. This could be the end. ISO still pushing into the tower. It's just Colo left. We have minions up at the top. Basic with the Blazing Duet trying to clear out the minions, gets taken out by ISO. Here comes Mielo with the damage. He gets taken out by Mark Cutie. It's just Cold World left, but they have no minions. Still going to try to force it at this mid tower. We have the timers up. Yoreshi coming in. Zane is back out. Is he going to have the heavy spin ready? The core goes down. This is going to be a sweep for Area 77 over the BloodThirstyKings.
Phone home! Phone home! Area 77, the extraterrestrials landing from a distant planet on top of the BloodThirstyKings with a 2-0 sweep. A massive statement for their debut in the NACT Spring Season 2023. Off to a great start, taking down the #2 team and ruining their flawless record. Area 77 shocking the world and showcasing that they are a top contender.
I mean, an incredible performance by Area 77, something that we haven't seen from them. I mean, not that we haven't seen, but it usually takes them, I've talked about this before, a little bit of a while to kind of ramp up that synergy, to ramp up that dangerousness, and late into the season. They just showed it here right at the beginning of the season. They are a force to be reckoned with here in North America.
You know what this means? This means Yue, out of all the casters, was the only one to get this right, which means he has the highest prediction rate out of everybody. You are going to go ahead and see, though, Area 77 with their team stats on the board, 8-4-26. But I feel like this doesn't even paint the full picture of what we've seen overall. I mean, it looked like that game was going to favor BTK, especially in the beginning. They were bullies. Like we said, there was 3 quantum charges, 2 brave smites, and they were really, or 2 concussive blasts, ready to just take that fight early and aggressive. But once we trickled into that mid to late game, Area 77, they came alive, they regained their composure, and they were able to disrupt their synergy yet again, similar to game #1, and surprised not only the world, but majority of the casters' desk is now we've all lost another prediction for the day. 2 for me. But yeah, hey, I guess UA knows something we don't.